welcome to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer, and with me today I have a very special guest. Now, I always get in trouble for saying I have a very special guest if everyone is a very special guest. So now I am doing this thing where I take the old improv game of put an adjective that starts with the first letter of your first name and say your name. So, I would be like Super Spencer. So today with me, I have none other than Practically Perfect Paul.
Hey,
how's it going?
Double the treatment. I love it.
I did it because I didn't want to say perfect because then I felt like that'd be too high of a bar that I would force you into. So I was like, practically perfect is.
No, I appreciate the distinction because I would then disappoint all of your audience after that.
You could never disappoint me.
Oh, shucks. Stop it.
Yeah, right. I see the language. I see the body language. All right. Anyway, enough about whatever's happening here. Let's talk about you and your improv experience and your relationship to improv. So the very first question, easy question, is what is your background in improv? What is your relationship to improv?
Yes, we've had a tumultuous relationship over the years. A lot of fights, a lot of ups and downs.
Haven't we all?
I buy improv dinner. Dinner doesn't, not dinner. Improv doesn't return my call. Sometimes dinner doesn't return my call. It's been a good relationship overall. It's actually been, I think a lot of people would say this. It's just this moment of freedom on stage, and so that moment when you're kind of just tuned in to each other, to the scene, or whatever's going on around you, and you're not even thinking, and all this stuff is just happening, and you kind of get to be a front row watcher, participant, witness, weird mixture of all of those at the same time. But yeah, so I started, though, to get more to your actual point, I believe. Sure. I started doing improv, technically speaking, around the dinner table with my family. Now, it was mostly like dad level jokes because my family loved puns. So
I love a good pun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's enjoyable, and it's like all of advertising is puns, right? I mean,
the show is pun friendly, so feel free.
Oh, okay. All right, here. I thought I was going to be judged for those, so I'm just.
No, I think every episode I've managed to slip in a pun somewhere.
Perfect. Well, I will find the appropriate time. I'm not going to force it, but just if one bubbles up.
I force it, so that's good because I force it most of the time.
Just ram it in there.
Anyway,
okay, round hole, go. Okay. Yeah, no. So I would say that I started around the dinner table with puns and stuff. I mean, it was ridiculous stuff. It was like, hey, would you pass the pickles? If we're having hamburgers or something, and somebody'd be like, oh, I can, but what's the big deal? And just
I like that one.
And then it would just spiral out of control and be like,
that's a Vlasic joke. That is a Vlasic joke.
Literally, that was the next word I was going to say. Dang it, Spencer.
What a Vlasic joke.
Yeah. I think we just lost half the audience, though, right there.
But we gained a whole new audience.
That's true. And welcome to the show. This is now an exclusive members only group.
The Improv Summit Pun Edition.
It's punderful. Okay.
Yeah, it sure is.
Anyway,
we're so punctual here. Started right on time.
I was early, so
yeah, you were. And then technically I was also early, and then we both kind of just ended up being early and late.
Yeah, it was this weird paradox that occurred because I stepped away from my phone just long enough for you to didn't be early.
Yes. Pun it on home.
Okay, so here we go.
That was a really big swing for a punt.
That's just how weak I am. Okay, so it's like Mr. Burns. You ever watch The Simpsons? Is that in your in your wheelhouse?
I watched it when I was on Disney Plus when I had a year subscription for free. I just streamed as much as I could. I got to about 12 seasons before I kind of had the train kind of stop.
Well, that's fair. I mean, it's 31 seasons now, so I mean that's a lot. I mean, it's got a rhythm to it and all of that. And you get used to it. In the morning,
6:30 a.m. working on the weights. I put it on my phone, just watch an episode as I'm working.
That's a great way to do it. Yeah. Marge. Yeah.
Marge.
Doe. But 5 minutes later, to answer your original question, this I thought you said you wanted these to be shorter episodes.
This is the only question I'm asking, so feel free. No, I'm just kidding.
Awesome. Easy. Okay. So, dinner table pickle jokes. I think that's where we left off.
Yeah, that's where we started, too.
Ding! I'll be back later. I'm just gonna
Hey,
go
and
ahead.
that was the show.
Okay.
How are we ever going to get through this?
Eventually. Maybe we should just do, cut, take two. Let's start over.
No, I love this. Nope, this is the episode. If it's 2 parts, it's 2 parts, whatever.
I'll be super serious from here on out. So, yes, okay. Focus ball.
Okay. That's what we used to do in an improv group that I was in. It was like everybody would be joking, just like focus ball, and people would be like, "Oh, it was." I think it was.
At least
loosely,
it wasn't tape ball.
True, it wasn't. Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Tape ball.
But okay, so yeah, dinner table. Then watching Whose Line Is It Anyway was kind of the original inspiration that, there are people who actually do this kind of thing and maybe possibly get paid for it. Now, I'm still working on the getting paid for it part. I mean, sometimes
aren't we all?
it happens sometimes, it doesn't others. It's been a growing thing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Nice little mix. Got to change it up every now and then.
Just to keep it fresh. Yeah, keep it loose. But yeah, so watching that show, I think it was Ryan Stiles that really just like blew my mind on something that he did. And I thought, he's making that up right there. And then I was suddenly clued into it. I always liked theater, but suddenly improv became more of a thing for me at that point. That was like 7th or 8th grade, something like that. And then high school, found out I had, or the high school I was at, I found out we had an improv troupe. And so I went and auditioned and tanked the first time. I was like, okay, I gotta really step up my game here a little bit, because there's such a thing as competition, and there's only like 3 spots on this thing that were open. So thankfully I went back out, auditioned again the next year, got it, had a phenomenal, that was my senior year, because I didn't get up the guts to audition until my junior year, and then didn't get it, and then senior year got it, and that was just a blast. Senior year was a wild ride, partly because of that, but then just it's your last year in high school. It's fun for a variety of reasons. So anyway, had a great time doing that. Learned a lot because those guys were super talented. Guys and gals. Sorry, I'm not using that exclusively. I mean, it was a good group. And then college, I went off to Texas A&M, and we had an improv troupe there. And I instantly knew, like, okay, I got to find my way onto that troupe.
Mm-hmm.
Auditioned my first year. You can guess the pattern. Didn't make it. There were, I think, 60 people that made it to the second round of auditioning, and then they only had 2 or 3 spots, whatever it was. And
if you're a freshman, it's hard for anything.
And in retrospect, I'm thankful that it worked out that way, because I actually, it was like 9 hours a week once I did get it my sophomore year, which was awesome. Yeah, so I learned a ton, because these guys.
I say that like it's a surprise. I did a cappella for like the first couple years of college, and that was like 3 nights a week plus rehearsing outside of that in order to do competition. So I don't know why I think 9 hours is like that much.
No, yeah, but from an improv perspective, I don't know. Some places aren't as gung ho, but it was a lot for a college student, and I was just like, give me, I want to drink all this in. So, and then it was really cool because they kept up with the network of people who had set it up before them. And so we got to visit LA, visit Chicago, and go take workshops with these people who were out doing it, out making it happen. Mm-hmm. And so I just drank all of that in that I could. And then I don't know exactly why I did this, but I just kind of let it fade into the background of my life. I kind of let life happen, and starting a new job after college and stuff, and I just wasn't thinking about it as much. I was a teacher for a while, and so I kind of had improv in the classroom, because you're reading off of the students and you're having to roll with whatever crazy
adaptability. Number 1 rule of teaching.
Yes, absolutely. So that was definitely one of the buzzwords in the teacher lexicon. So
it's actually the number 1 word. It's the only word in the teacher handbook.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I had an 800-page teacher handbook, and it was just the word adaptability written probably
I think
50,000.
sounds like the one that I had.
Yeah. By Houghton Mifflin.
Yeah. Scott Houghton Mifflin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, that's his first name is Scott.
Oh yeah, you're on first name basis. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't actually really know the name. By the way, this is all improvised jokes, everybody. We don't have any idea what this is.
This isn't actual teacher stuff.
This isn't actual teacher stuff. But adaptability is a big thing with teaching. Anyway.
For sure. Yeah. So I kind of let it slide. I did find my way into kind of coaching with the improv troupe that was at the school. So that was kind of cool to find my way back in sort of sideways, and then found out that there was it's called Dallas Comedy House in Dallas, Texas. That's where I'm from. That's where I live currently. And and they had the whole level 1 through 5 thing. And so I went through that and just fell back in love with it. And I've been doing it pretty consistently ever since, and performed with a troupe called 4-Day Weekend out of Dallas and Fort Worth, 2 theaters here. And they've been around since 1997. So they're trying to kind of bring up the next generation of performers and keep the gravy train going, I guess. I mean, it's been a fun ride learning from them.
There you go. Yeah. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is there anything you love about improv? That's a weird way of wording it. What do you love about improv? Is there anything you love about improv? I don't know why I would ask it that way.
I hate it. I'm a masochist, and so I torture myself with this thing.
That sounds like that's a weird way to ask that question.
No, it's cool. However you want to ask it.
However you interpret it, I guess, is fine too. Adaptability. It's the key.
Yeah. Adapt and respond. Okay, so yes, good question, Spencer. Good job. Yeah, because
thank you, Paul. Thank you.
You have to affirm and then answer the
positive
question.
Reinforcement.
That's right. Oh man, that was page 801 of the manual. Yes. So, what question? What was good? What do I love about it? It's just like, where did that go?
And cut. And action.
My line is, I love improv because, okay.
But then you have to finish it. You have to finish it off.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's why the blank is there in the script. That's why the blank is there.
I love improv because improv loves me. And it is generous with its yes and its and. Was that a good? Okay. It's
generous with the yes and the and.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That was just funny. Yeah, do any of us really? Unless we're Ryan Stiles.
That's a good point. Life is improv, right? So I think that's one of the beauties of it. That is something that I love about it, is learning that, if you just sort of trust yourself in the moment, typically your gut instincts, your reactions, not all of our reactions. I mean, we want to make sure that we're, not being rude to the barista at Starbucks or something. I mean, it's like, you don't just want to react however you react all the time, but typically, if we just sort of trust what's going on, we're going to respond the right way or in maybe the best possible way that we could in that moment. And if not, we learn from it, right? That's one of the things that happens with improv too, is you usually step off the stage and you think of the better thing that you could have said in the moment. And that would have been a good joke. Didn't say something about, smorgasbords or whatever. I mean, whatever random thing it was. And so,
well, next time you'll do better, Paul. Next time you'll do better.
Thank you. Yes.
Just
okay. If you'll, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Also, I just want to point out that never say you'll do better next time. It's also a thing with improv. And this is, I think, where you're heading to, is that I always feel like, and then I'll let you finish the answer to the question, but tangentially, it's the idea of I went into improv going, I have to say the right thing. I have to do the right thing. And then realizing that, yes, that is correct. I have to do the right thing. But here's the flip. Everything I do is right.
Exactly.
That's the trick you got to teach yourself. Everything you do and say is right.
Well, and the beauty of that is, especially if you're surrounded by the right people who all understand that idea, is that over time, you actually hone that skill, right? So the first time you try that, you don't maybe know what the right thing is. But then you start to even develop that gut instinct as to, well, this would be a really good choice in this moment. So I'm going to roll with that instinct because I've honed this over time. So maybe in the past I would have gone for the low hanging fruit joke, that was, and that wasn't an innuendo, but it could be, I don't know. It is what it is.
We'll find out.
Yeah. But so, I mean, you could go for just sort of the easy grab of a joke. But then over time you start to figure out, oh, wait a minute. That kind of relates to something that was said earlier. And if I tie that in now, suddenly you get this kind of magical bring back or callback moment. And it blows your mind and the audience's mind because you didn't even realize you were putting that together. But if you were listening the whole time, then you picked up on all those threads, and all of a sudden, like between the group mind and your mind, something happens that you couldn't have even fabricated yourself if you tried.
It's true. That's true. And that's what I love about improv. Is there anything that you love about improv? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
Because I totally stole that question. I was like, what do you love about improv? But before you answer that, let me tell you why I love improv. And then we bounced off of that. Anyway. I'm
Spencer. This is my show where I interview guests and then tell them what they're supposed to tell me.
Well, there's a script. I mean, that's what you're getting paid for. I'm just kidding.
No. It's all good.
If you wanna fund us here on the Improv Summit, you can send a Venmo to me or a Zelle or whatever the kids these days are using. Just find my name in Venmo and just send me whatever you want, because then I can make a budget for this show. Because look at the budget.
That's a sweet backdrop.
Thank you. I made it myself, actually.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, it's totally real.
I spent several hours making this backdrop.
Click.
This is. I tell you, on a quick side note, because I'm sidetracking us a lot. I mean, you're instigating, but that's fine. But this background is me going, I like this yellow color. Done. And then I'll say, oh, what font do I like? But it can't be too straight. So let me just take this and transform it. And I went, cool, now this is it. And then I realized I should have made one that has the logo in a corner as opposed to behind me. But everyone knows what the show is.
Right now
you're watching the Improv Summit.
Yeah, because right now I see the Improv Summit.
Suit. It could be like a suit.
Oh no, I do see suits. Yeah.
Yeah.
The immovable suit.
Yeah, that's exactly that. That's actually a better title, I think, for this show.
Go with that. Please run with that.
Great. TM. Everything on the show is trademarked, so you cannot use a movable suit. Just saying that.
Royalties?
We can talk about it. We can once I get Venmo.
My Venmo is at Paul-Kolker. Okay.
And mine is at Spencer-Frankenberger, not dash. I also realized my name is here. I was I don't trying to secretly hide my name from people, but it's there. So
no, it's whatever. Out. The world's gonna know.
You just have to spell it right, so I make sure I get the money and not anyone else, because that has happened before, actually.
Ooh.
For me. Anyway, on that side note, let's move into a non-side note. Is there anything else that you love about improv, or do we want to move to the next question? I don't know if we answered it.
I think I basically answered it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
mostly
I think we did. It's that in the moment magic is basically the gist of it, because you don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, that's the nature of it, but It's amazing what can happen if you're listening and open and ready to respond. Basically.
Yeah, that's great. Now is a moment in the show where if you have any plugs or pitches you want to share, now is the time to do that.
Okay.
Also at Paul Kolker on Venmo.
Yes, if you want to just send me cash, it's at Paul-Kolker. That would be awesome. Kolker, not Coker. That's those are the not so good German side. I mean, this is the Kolker's the good Germans. I'm just saying. I'm not judging, but I'm judging. So no, the thing I would like to plug is actually I've been reading children's books on a podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and just passed 250,000 listens, which is just blowing my mind right now. Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to quite spread as much as it has. It's been about a year and a half. Started it just before the pandemic and didn't really know I was going to have all this extra time to build a podcast. And so ended up doing that even more. And
I listened to an episode. I can highly recommend it, especially if you got young ones. Especially if you got young ones, definitely check it out.
Yeah,
for sure. But anyone can listen. But for sure, young ones, it's short enough for an attention span of a child.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's all children's books. I'm just reading them,
doing goofy voices for each of the characters, and
I mean, jumping in and out and doing sound effects. The explosions and spaceships. Like, I mean, it's stuff kids like. It's nothing that crazy, but I try to do high energy, and it seems to be entertaining. And parents say that it keeps kids quiet in the car, so that's something they'll put on when they're driving places, and it usually seems to help. I don't know.
And parents don't say things lightly.
No, yeah. I mean, they get a breather, which I think is the real that's the kicker. So
for those 8 minutes, they're like really thrilled.
Yeah, light up a cigarette. And,
okay. Right. There you go. Yeah. Just like all children grow up to do. The Cruella car,
That's it. The big ass wheel.
With her big long.
Yeah, I got these prop cigarettes. For, I had to do something for a scene that I was recording, and I was like, well, I don't want to smoke in the house.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, I had one handy.
Anyway, the first prop that's ever been on this show. I love it. Paul, thanks so much for joining me here on the Improv Summit. I have one final question for you, which is the reason why the Improv Summit exists. Prior to pandemic, but even like with pandemic happening, a lot of people would come up to me and say, Spencer, you take a lot of improv. Where should I take improv? And I'm like, I mean, what do you want out of improv? Like, I can't just like give you that answer. But if someone came up to you and said like, where should I take improv? What would be one piece of advice or one tip that you'd give to them to kind of help guide them on their improv journey?
Oh, okay. So not a recommendation necessarily of where to go, like study it per se, but how to get better at improv.
Yeah, either or both.
Yeah. So I would actually say that. So a piece of advice, I guess, or something that has helped me immensely, is paying attention outside of an improv class. So just observing and listening to as much as you possibly can, whether it's somebody people watching. That's a great example of what I'm trying to say. So if you're out at the mall, I mean, I know we haven't been outside much in the last year and a half, but these days, as we're starting to open back up, it's like if you're outside, if you're at a park, maybe that's a better option. But if you're outside, you're seeing people and you're watching how they interact, and don't be a creeper about it. But just if you see, or you can, like, I mean,
mind meld.
The Spencer method. He was like, well.
I mean, sometimes you just got to get real in there. Just kidding. Don't ever do that. Please don't, unless you ask permission.
Yeah, just walk up to people and just glare.
Or do that, because that's real comfortable.
Actually, that might ruin the experiment, right? Because if people know they're being watched, they perform.
They'll act differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of
true.
Kind of like right now. And
yeah. So now I'm a little self-conscious.
Right?
No, I'm just
I don't know what to do with my hands. But yeah, I mean, so just paying attention to people, outside and like watching. Okay, so this person's kind of, I mean, maybe this is a posture of a more elderly individual, or maybe it's just somebody who's been doing a lot of heavy manual labor or something, and you just kind of pay attention to how people carry themselves, or maybe they had an injury, and so you can think of all of these things too when it comes to actually doing a character. And so there's whole drills that I've either done or taught, depending on what the context is, where you just assume a body posture and you use that to inform all of your character choices. So, you lean over and suddenly you're thinking about your time back in, that was 1967 was when I first was on the lawn of the White House, and I was there with a flag, but it flew off in the wind. It flew off in the wind, and it landed on the windshield of the president's car. Right. I mean, so like all of a sudden you're building a story, but all I had to do was just sort of arch my back, and now things start to come to the surface.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that a lot. Yeah. Did you have something you wanted? You said you wanted to recommend something. Is there? You can shout out whatever you want for the recommendation.
Sure. So, I mean, if you're in the Dallas area, I mean, 4-day weekend is a good option, although we're not like back up and running fully, but there's typically a training center associated with that. There was Dallas Comedy House, which was really good. Unfortunately, they were a casualty of the whole COVID situation. There is kind of a new theater that's trying to come in and revive that community. So Dallas Comedy Club is on the horizon. I mean, so there's some good things happening in Dallas that are all improv related, and that's just exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Paul, thanks so much for joining me again. I did say that was the last question I had for you, but as always on this show, I'm just as Pinocchio as can be, and I'm a big liar is basically what I'm saying for those that don't know what Pinocchio does. But because I tell people I lie, my nose doesn't grow. That's the real trick. But
what's the question I have for you? For that?
As long as I reveal it, I guess. I haven't really thought about the timeline. I made it all up.
Okay. So, I was like, just lie, tell them later.
But I guess technically they like turn into donkeys in the movie. Anyway, it's an interesting story. But my last question for you is, we've been talking a lot about improv. You want to do some improv?
Let's do it. Oh, I mean,
all right, let's do it. And
let's
go. Let's do it. All right. All right, let's do some improv. Paul, would you like a location, a relationship, or a word?
I would like a location.
Great, a location. I'm going to give you two options, and you tell me which one you want to go with.
Okay.
The first thing that came up was changing room at a store, but I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go with the options of, especially with COVID, we can't really do changing rooms with COVID.
Yeah, fair enough.
The options are hot tub and 60s drum circle.
Let's what? Let's do
those
hot
are the
tub,
options.
because I actually know what that is.
Great.
I'd like to initiate this one.
Great. All right, sounds good. All right, let's do it.
Okay. Hey, saw you on the slopes today. You were looking pretty nice.
I mean, I'm a pro sloper, so I mean, it's my job. I get paid big bucks to do it.
I'll say it's your job.
I mean, it is my job.
Oh.
I'm a pro sloper.
Gotcha. Well, you were handling those curves pretty good. You know what I mean?
Again, it's part of my training, my professional athletic training. I definitely can handle curves because that's why I'm getting paid to be a pro sloper.
You making a pretty penny at it, huh?
I make the big bucks, that's for sure.
So you'd say you're a mogul?
Yeah, like a tycoon.
But you're on slopes, so that kind of makes you a mogul.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, or like like a typhoon.
Mm.
I'm thinking of like Typhoon Lagoon where they got the big old slope, ride.
You got,
but like it's a water ride versus like slopes, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
It's a real small niche reference, but
Yeah, I mean, it would be lost on a lot of people, but it hit home for me right here.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it in my left ventricle.
Not the right atrium?
Nope, because that pumps the blood out, and it was definitely coming straight into my heart.
I learned that from Schoolhouse Rock. Do the circulation, you know that one?
That also hits me.
It's my warm-up song. It's my warm-up song before I hit the slopes.
No kidding.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
That's my warm-up song before I do hot yoga. Hot yoga.
Oh, yeah, I mean, regular yoga is also fine too, and cold yoga, cooler yoga.
But mostly the temperature. Nope. Well, that's in the hot tub now.
And scene. I don't know what was happening in this scene, but it was real awkward and real wonderful all at the same time.
For me, what hit me was I feel like I've met this person on like a random ski trip where you're in the hot tub trying to relax after a long day, and you're like, what is all this awkward?
Why are you talking to me?
I don't know why that came to mind, but I was just like, I'm gonna lean into this real hard.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much for coming to the Improv. I'm gonna do it again. I don't know why I laughed. Keep it. Yeah, keep it in there. Thanks ever so much for coming to the Improv Summit. I'm Spencer. That's Paul. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.